Hey there, listeners. Well, it's that time of year again. So, time for you to finish the year strong, and then it's time for you to have a break, and then it's time for you to turn the page for a fresh start. Let's discuss.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos.
Welcome to the Ask Dennis episode. This is a freestyle episode where I'm asked a question by our listeners, or I share my thoughts, experiences, and insights from working with many leaders around the globe. Hey there, listeners. Well, it's that time of year again for you to finish the year strong, and then to take some time to have a break, and then to turn the page for a fresh start. It's about going from surviving to thriving in the new year of 2025. Now, being the end of this year, there is still time for you to finish your goals. So please keep going and don't give up. It's a really important time for you to keep putting the foot on the accelerator and still driving forward to help you finish those goals. Now, what I've also noticed of late is that people are hanging out for a break. It's been a big year for them, and so for a lot of them, they're really looking forward to this break. Now, for those of you observing Christmas and New Year, maybe it is time for you to take a break. The Southern Hemisphere is now in summer, and it's summertime for people to take time to go to the beach and taking time for their summer holidays. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's winter, of course, and you know what? I love Christmas in Europe. And with all the lights and decorations. And if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, what a fantastic time to have snow. See, in the Southern Hemisphere where I am, in New Zealand, we don't actually get to experience snow. We actually get to experience barbecues and beaches and things like that. Well, sometimes we do, because the weather sometimes can be quite nasty and not that great for us to go to the beach. Now, most places around the world do close down for that Christmas Day, and then also the New Year's Day as well. Now, in some countries and some cultures, New Year's not till later. It depends if it's on the lunar side of things, and that's where they observe. But most places around the world do take this time out to go to the new calendar year and also enjoy Christmas. So if it is time for you to take time out and spend special time with your family, well, one thing for you to think about is actually being present with the family. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, I notice that a lot of people during the year spend maybe dinner with their family or being with them over the weekends or nighttime, things like that, but they're always still looking at their phones, or mentally, they're still thinking about deadlines, they're thinking about meetings and so forth. And so there's a lot of stress on people. This is a great time for you to put the phone down, for you to unplug, for you to take time out and enjoy it. It's time for you to rest. It's time for you to recharge your batteries. It's time for you to refocus. But also, it's a great time for you to set some goals. Now, what I tend to do is I tend to set my goals between Christmas and the New Year period. Why? Because it's a quiet time of the year for me, and because most organizations are shut down and people are taking some time out. But what I actually do is I actually have already started, but you know what? I actually start to finalize them between Christmas and New Year. It's a time whereby I actually start to see the year ahead and finish the year ahead before I even start it. It's called pacing. It's future pacing is what I'm talking about, whereby a lot of athletes and a lot of people start thinking about where they're going and think about it in their mind and so forth, or put it down on paper, and then they go ahead and do it. It's a bit like anything as well. Right now, if you think about anything that's in front of you, so I've got a pen here in front of me. This pen was an idea in somebody's mind first. They saw it before they built it. So the thing here is, once you actually see the idea or see the thing in your mind, then you go off and make it and put it into its physical form, as we call it. For you and for I, for both of us, what we're needing to do here is to start seeing those goals, seeing where we're going, seeing the life that we want, seeing the business where it's going, where your goals are going, all that sort of stuff. That's for you to see it, for you to write it down, but then for you to actually put it into a physical form. So in other words, that's what I mean by you finishing the year before you start the year. 2025 is the year for you to thrive. Now, it just happens that 25 and thrive rhyme, right? What a great way for it is. But you know what? For a lot of leaders, for a lot of individuals, entrepreneurs, whoever you are, you're probably in survival mode, or you have been in survival mode. Well, 2025 is about going from survival, or going from surviving to thriving. And that's a difference for you to start thinking about. For me, it's going to be a year where we thrive in the podcast, but also in my business called Leading Change Partners. We also will help our clients to thrive. It's for them to go to new levels as individuals, as teams, and as organizations. The new website will be launched very soon. So we're coming up with this new website. Oh, so excited about it. It's looking really great. And it will be launched very, very soon. We're going to launch other items as well, and once they come through, we'll make those announcements. The podcast, Leadership is Changing, will continue, but we're also going to look at some new formats in the new year. But as we go into the festive season, listeners, I want to say thank you to you. I want to thank you for listening to the podcast and your continued support and helping or supporting myself and supporting the podcast. The feedback that we've had over the years and this year as well has been tremendous. It's been fantastic feedback. People around the world are sending me messages all the time about what they're getting from the actual podcast. Just the other day, I had one from a vice president of an IT company, a global company, who lives in India, and sent me a message just to say that how much they're getting out of the Ask Denis episodes. And just those small, short episodes. You know, the Ask Denis episodes go from about 10 to 15 minutes. Very simple listening, normally on a topic, and they were thoroughly enjoying it. And it's actually helping them in their role with themselves, but also with their organization as well. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure to bring you the interviews and the Ask Denis episodes. We've got a whole lot of people that we're looking to interview in the new year. Now, if there's someone that you feel like we should be interviewing, please send me an email, dennis@leadingchangepartners.com, or send me a private message on social media, things like Facebook Messenger or LinkedIn. We'll look at those individuals and see if we can bring them on the show if it's a right fit for the show and also the audience. Now, the other thing is that I'm very excited about is that the Leadership is Changing podcast is now known as a go-to asset. Now, that's very exciting. Why is it exciting? Well, because leaders now can come to this podcast, look for different topics, whether it be on the Ask Denis or on the interviews, and look for those topics to learn and to help grow themselves as leaders so then they can thrive going forward. Well, it's time for you to go and enjoy your break. On this podcast, we're going to take a small break as well. We'll be back in the new year. If you're on holiday, it's a great time for you to go back to the different episodes and listen to them as well. Wishing you and your loved ones a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hey, listeners, well, that's it for this episode. It's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for joining me on the Leadership is Changing podcast. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.